Welcome back to the expose of a mid table team that Arsenal fans were expecting might put a dent on Man City's title hopes. Welcome back to the expose of a team in the bottom half of the league, 13th to be precise. Welcome back to another episode where we're going to be talking about Marco Silva. How frustrating was it for a manager to look at the players, to look at his unit who were not clearly following the instructions laid out for them in the dressing room? How useless were Willian and De Reed on the flanks? We are going to get into the tactical and the match analysis just in a bit. Please do not shy away from hitting the like and the subscribe button. This level of football that Man City came up with was enough for them to score 4 past Fulham. And this was enough for them to embarrass, to nullify. In fact, they completely nullified their attacking threat. Fulham might have had half a shot or one shot, and that had no XG attached to it at all. How good were they? They replicated not a very typical performance that we usually see from the likes of Man City, but the press was really high, the press was really effective. Man, these City players, their lungs are made of something. Their lungs have double the capacity that any other Premier League team out there has. Pep Guardiola has clearly shown us what a title winning team looks like, even when they're not at their best. You saw an Erling Haaland was nullified. I don't know why the fuck has football given him a rating of 7, but I think Erling Haaland had an atrocious game. I don't think he was really releasing himself in pockets in situations where he could have done better, barring that one sequence where Kevin De Bruyne had the ball and then he delivered one key pass. Haaland missed such an easy chance, such an easy opportunity. And he's done it a lot this season, but that doesn't mean that he's not a great striker. I think he's Premier League's finest converter, finest finisher. But I don't know, man. I think Haaland had a really off game. But that doesn't mean that's what I'm talking about, right? Man City might not have the striker scoring for them, but Man City have other players who step up. You see the likes of Kovacic, who's become an elite player under Pep Guardiola. Kovacic under Chelsea was so indifferent. He was so erratic in situations where you'd see him dribbling past oppositions, the midfield, and then Chelsea would not be able to complete those sequences. Now you get to see what his real talent is all about on the pitch. His dribbling, his footwork, the way he actually maneuvers past players. Kovacic looked like an elite midfielder in this setup. In fact, I think he looked the most confident in the first half. Whenever he'd get on the ball, he would totally bait that press. He would totally bait it, and he would get past Iwobi, De Reed, and he would deliver those long passes, those through balls to Haaland, to De Bruyne, to Foden, and he would find them in those small pockets, even though Man City could not really capitalize out of those sequences, but Kovacic gave his best. And second half was more about Kovacic and Rodri being more deep in their own half, trying to, navigate the pitch and trying to read the situation. Saw Adama Traore getting on the ball once or twice. That's it. That's it. They had not tested City's fullbacks at all. We saw an Ake going down because of that foot injury. So we saw Kyle Walker coming on the right. But City was so comfortable at the back. Whatever threat came in from Muniz's hold up, he tried going against the likes of Ruben Diaz on a time-to-time basis, but on every occasion, Diaz would just shut him down, would win those aerial balls. He would navigate the pitch well enough to read those interceptions, would push in a leg to get that tackle. Everything was happening in the right moment at the right time for Ruben Diaz, and he was phenomenal at the back. But there are a couple of players that I'm going to be talking about. Pereira nullified. Palhinha looked like a passenger throughout the game, bro. Like, I feel bad for him, to be honest. When your players on the flanks aren't really doing anything, what can you do alone as a midfielder, bro? You can't do anything. You might win those turnovers. He won the ball twice or thrice, if I'm not wrong. But even in those situations, man, you can't expect him to be nullifying opposition's. See, he had 2 interceptions, 12 defensive actions, 2 recoveries, was dribbled past once. And yeah, I mean, Palhinha would give you a solid 7 out of 10 performance in every game. But even though he looked like a passenger, because there was no framework, there was no passage of play being created for Fulham. atrociously nullified, disgusting. A Premier League club of even this capacity can do something. A Bournemouth or even a Burnley. They come up with these attacks against Man City. But okay, I think this was the easiest way of unlocking a team that you want to beat, a team that you really want to beat to get ahead of Arsenal. And City were just too good on their day, man. Even though their performance was a 6 out of 10 at max for me. And the reason why I'm being so critical of them is because I've seen them play better, right? But the individual work done by Bernardo Silva, amazing. Getting into that fucking wingback position to help with the numbers in the deep to get out of that pressing situation which Fulham were trying to offer. See, Fulham had something off the ball. They did have something off the ball. We spoke about how Bassi, Diop, aerially they're really good, but just not good enough when it comes to grounded duels. They're not good enough in those small space margins. They're not good enough in closing pocket players like Foden or even like Haaland or even Julian Alvarez, who never really started this game. I thought Pep would actually prefer Alvarez over Haaland. It's just so weird and bemusing to watch the way Fulham went down, bro. I think Robinson really tried hard, and I think Robinson was fairly better than the other defenders on the pitch. Castagne, man, he doesn't have enough recovery pace to face the likes of Phil Foden or even Josko Gvardiol. How good is he? How elite a player is he? Is he a winger? He played as a centre back for Leipzig, and he plays as a centre half, come left centre back, come fullback for Man City. And man, this guy, the footwork, a player of his stature, the astuteness, the rigidity that it seems like he comes with, he just defies all critics and all pundits. The bodywork, the movement across the pitch, the way he was driving into those inner channels from the left flank, right? An individual effort to find Kevin De Bruyne attempting that layoff, that slight touch. Kevin De Bruyne is so good in reading that situation. Slight touch, Gvardiol again goes into the box, gets past Diop, gets past Basse, scores a goal with his right foot. Amazing, what a phenomenal finish. This is Man City's passing framework. You can see Bernardo again, his average position was mostly on the wing back. He would be there and then he would be on the flanks as well. But again, Man City had no plans of overlapping them because they wanted to play them through the middle, right? You see a Rodri right here and Kovacic next to him. These two were so elite. These two really complement one another. Gvardiol acting as a winger, as a wingback, was constantly causing havoc, pushing Castagne to the back in a deeper position, which was never something which they were really comfortable with. And let's just look at Fulham, to be honest. I think Fulham, this is really interesting. See, Rodrigo Muniz and Cordova Reid. He's got that level of aggression, that level of know-how to press oppositions. But in this game, dude, Man City knew where to keep Gvardiol. They pinned Gvardiol to the flank. They pinned Kyle Walker to the flank. Or you'd see a Kyle Walker come in inverted. You'd see a Bernardo Silva pinned to the flank. They knew how to occupy the central channels. They had Kovacic and Rodri pinned as two whip pivots. They had a Kevin De Bruyne, a Haaland, and Phil Foden taking rotations to come deeper to get the ball. They were constantly playing Fulham and running the tempo across the pitch. Even though that wasn't a very domineering performance, they did dominate the ball for sure. So I wanted to show you what Ruben Dias really did against Rodrigo Muniz, right? Look at the interceptions, the tackles, and what he did in very deep positions when they had corners and when they had set pieces. Every time Diaz was there to save Man City's grace, and they looked so clean, speck clean in the back. There was nothing to worry about. They were all calm. Kevin De Bruyne, not one of his best games, to be honest, but one of his best games. You know, I know it's a little contradictory, but, you know, Kevin De Bruyne, again, delivered so many key passes, trying to find Haaland in every sequence, and Haaland couldn't just stick his feet to the ball. Wasn't tenacious at all. Was lose the ball, and then Bassi and Diop, in certain situations, would try to dissipate any sort of threat coming from Haaland specifically. That's how Haaland really had a bad outing there on the pitch. But De Bruyne was just phenomenal, bro. With whatever he had to offer, he was just really good. And then I wanted to show you a couple of successful passes laid out there by Kovacic, bro. See, Man City were trying to get past the shape that Fulham had instilled, that low to mid block. Just look at Kovacic's distribution. Just look at it. He was all over the pitch, occupying different positions, trying to navigate Fulham's shape and trying to maneuver past them. And bro, this guy is just elite, elite, and elite. And Bernardo Silva as well, bro, occupying those wing back positions and then getting inward into the central spaces and then just trying to find his way into the central channels, and then he would get back on the flanks. And this was this constant rotation by City's midfielders and attackers just shows how elite a team this is. Even if they're playing a low block, they just know how to get past them. It's just as easy as that, bro. So it was just a mismatch of tactics. I would blame the manager completely for what really went down, not utilizing the right players in the right positions. And I think Fulham really don't have that level of funding to be bringing in the right players to the club. And then it was just easy for Man City to just win this game. And in my shorts, just go to my YouTube shorts, you'll see in the preview that I gave, the quick preview, I was so sure that Man City is going to nullify Fulham. They had no chance, a 0% chance of winning this game.